Peace, family. So we back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how they tried the wrong one. They tried the wrong one. You know, they got this little game, these little antics and tactics that they like to do and play and, you know, try to twist people's inner space around along with their ideologies that you may have of them, just creating chaos. They tried the wrong ones. They are continuously out here using the same tactics that they use on everyone. For one, their tactics will never have the same amount of power or weight to them because we have too much divine connection with Source. So all of their attempts never manifest in the way that they envision it manifesting, which is why they always try to go to shaming, guilting, and insulting. These are like three of their main verbal attacks that they like to utilize against us. I've come across this issue so many times out here in today's society, just communicating, engaging with strangers, you know, people that's trying to get into my life, and then people who I've opened the door to see if I could let them in my space. And once you've been on this journey for a while, you'll get to a place where you will stop taking their attacks as personal. And what I mean by that is, like, when we younger or not on the levels where we've reached now and we're continuously growing, when you look back and reflect, you'll see how many opportunities and chances that you have given. And it doesn't matter how many chances and opportunities you give, these people will always utilize and do the same thing. Our vibrations and our frequencies are clearly on two opposite wavelengths. This is why we've always had a hard time fitting in with the masses who are asses, which keeps this system and this program perpetuating why it's still intact and it's still flowing the way it's flowing. See, when they use these tactics with the other beings that they operate and engage with, and when they used it on us at those different levels, it was easier for them to get, you know, a more emotional reaction from us. And I really don't like seeing emotional reaction because just about everything we do is in emotion. I mean, it's always energy and motion. So I hate when I even say those statements like, oh, you in your emotions. Like, when I'm happy, that's an emotion, but you don't say I'm in my emotions when I'm happy. It's one way of using word salad and manipulating the language. And when you get to a space of understanding these things, you'll realize this is literally one of their main reasons for utilizing this method, because it helps create chaos in the process. So when they out here trying these little weird witchy tactics that they're continuously working on and doing because it worked so well with other people, you know, they could have talked to 2, 3, 4 other people before you, and they went to chapter 2, and as they're going through chapter 2 in their little demonic playbook, they realize, okay, well, every time I say this, it gets a reaction from them in this manner. Every time I do this right here, it gets another reaction. So it's kind of like they figured out ways, an unhealthy manner of pulling strings to kind of move people energy and vibration around. But because we are at the levels where we are at now, it doesn't have the same effect. People can try to shame you, guilt you, and insult you. And what happens is now at these levels, because it doesn't have the same effect that it used to have, now what they would try to do and what I've been witnessing is when those tactics don't work, almost instantly the first next statement that comes out of them is, so are you in your emotions? Are you in your feelings? Or why you mad? Why you sound like that? These are always even if you are fine, you can be completely at peace on the inside and they still utilize these same tactics. And because they feel as though they're telling you how you feel, they automatically assume that you're going to get riled up. You're going to kind of have a more angered emotional response or a more frustrated response towards them. And I had someone recently try these tactics on me, and I was just thinking to myself, like, that shit don't work on me no more. And for a lot of them, being in that space, they feel as though if you respond to them, even if it's in a minimal, emotionless response, they feel as though that had some kind of major effect on you because you decided to respond to it. And in my world, the way I process is like, just because I respond to something or acknowledge it doesn't mean that it affects me in the same way that you feel that it's affecting me. You know, somebody could stab me with a pencil. I'd be like, why you stab me with a pencil? Be like, why you worried about it? Do it hurt? And it's like, even if it didn't break no skin and it don't hurt and I said something, that doesn't mean that it put me in some angry rage state because I decided to ask why you did this. And for a lot of them, they don't care for the response. Their job is just to create more chaos and friction within you. Their world is spilling out of them and they want to pour that onto you. The same way we push out a lot of love and light and we want to share it with the world. All that toxic and waste that's within them, they want to share that as well too. It's getting bad out here and it's becoming harder and harder to engage with a lot of people. Like, it's becoming so tricky with engaging with people that you literally, if you engage with one person and they not operating on God body time, it's like everybody that's moving with the creator and source is taking them a little bit longer than they're supposed to recover from that engagement. It shouldn't be happening this way, and it shouldn't be taking us these long ass processes to unattach or unengage or distance ourselves from, an engagement that we did have with someone. See, for a lot of us over here in this space, a lot of us as warriors, we got healers and everything on all levels, right? But for the most part, what we talk over here, we warriors, we fighting back in some form or fashion. Whether you using your words, and your connection with source, whether you using physical force, it's going to be something to give some fight back. And you just have to understand that they're doing their job. So just because somebody punches me in the face and I have to respond to it and I hit them 2-3 times in the face, doesn't change my emotional state. I've been fighting my whole life since I was a little child. I've been in fights when I was angry. I've been in fights when I was sad. I've been in fights when I was happy, excited, joyful. It didn't matter what kind of mood I was in. I've been in a physical altercation in all of those vibrations. So for people who hasn't been involved with in many engagements, they have a hard time processing how do you defend yourself and take care of yourself without getting angry and ragey. It's like, if I want to maintain my peace, I have to understand that warring is a branch from that. Or you can say it's the parallel to peace. The strongest warriors are always in a more relaxed, peaceful state because they understand what they can do, not what the next person can do. They know the levels and the lengths that they're willing to go to. Not really concerned with the levels and distances that the other beings are willing to go to. See, they got us all mixed up out here by assuming that, oh, because you follow source or creator, or because you do nice gestures, or you always smiling all the time, or you give out a lot of love and light, or you always sharing, you always attentive when you're engaging and communicating with people, meaning that, you don't listen and communicate with them solely to combat with them, but you're always listening attentively so you can respond accordingly to the statements that they're using. And I had one of these weird witches. I call them males and females witches. It don't matter to me. Demon witches, all in the same playbook. I doesn't make much of a difference to me, But yeah, I had one of the witches recently. You tried to utilize these tactics, and when I responded back, they went to the shame, guilt, insult responses, right? When we had another conversation, we gauged and it started shifting that same way again. I chose not to respond. As I chose not to respond, now I'm immature, shame, guilt, insult. It's always these three in a row. It doesn't matter which way you put it. You can do like the little card thing and shuffle them around and pick one. It's gonna be one of those three. And it's like, for me, it's no different than the presidency. Like, you just pick your poison. Like, you're either gonna say something and they're not gonna like it because they have different intentions on trying to belittle you, destroy you, knock you down, As they're knocking or trying to knock us down, they're trying to pick themselves up. But what happens is when they're trying to knock us down and pick themselves up, we pushing them off of us so they don't never get the full leverage that they need to get up. And I was telling one of these other witches that was trying to get my personal space, it was weird to me when, someone shows interest and then all of their conversations are extremely combative, Even trying to share helpful information with them is still combativeness. And in my world, it's like, if I'm letting you in my personal space, I'm not trying to be combative or fight with you. I do that with people that's not in my space. But if you're in my personal space, I'm going to be respectful even if we have disagreements. But if we're disagreeing and you start pulling out every weapon that you have, I understand at this level that I'm at that you already using the wrong playbook, and now you just went a couple more chapters into the playbook because now you want to figure out how you can destroy me or knock me down, whichever two you have enough power for. They always gonna be at this. They don't ever rest. The same reason why we should not be taking no days off. And that's crazy and ironic I say that, right? Because clearly, over the past month or two, I have been kind of distanced and taking days off from, putting myself out here in front and sharing the knowledge and information, just because there's been a lot of real life transpiring and happening. And I'm 39. I didn't grow up with social media, so this is something that I have to put myself into doing. I'm used to operating in the real world and real world time, and I've been pretty consistent at this over like the past 3-4 years, daily. So now I'm at this little junction, and being in this junction is kind of like a pit stop or a gas station. you're gonna run into everybody at a gas station. You're gonna run into godly people at a gas station, demons, witches, you're gonna run into everything at a gas station because they have a resource that we all need to utilize to get around from point A to point B. These are some things that we have to pay attention to, that we have to be aware of, Sometimes they don't even have to say anything to be trying to belittle you. You could just be talking about something that you just got done doing, that you really love doing, or a project or your mission that you're on in this physical realm. And what I've witnessed was a lot of beings just turn the knob off. They just go silent. And in my world, it's like, well, you kind of in my personal space, so why shut down when I'm discussing something that's meaningful to me, that I love doing, that I'm very passionate about. And when I go through that process on the inside, first thing that comes to my mind is my Minnie, my daughter. Every time she pop up, that's like a brighter light than I'm already shining, and it just reminds me, hey, before you get offended, before you take it personal, that's their job over there to do these things. They are hyper-focused in on your energy and motion. They're listening intently to how you say things. They don't give a fuck about what you're saying. They just care about how it's being said. Which, to a degree, they can do a good job sometimes to a degree. And I only say that because we be tapped in to the same thing, except we don't utilize it to hurt them. We utilize it to kind of give help and insight back, either towards just this physical realm, to them, to ourselves, for our real life experiences, just a multitude of things, but it's always the opposite. So you have to understand, when you letting people in your space, you let them in there. So like I was telling the other witch when I was talking to them, they kept being combative and they started doing the name call and all that shit. I'm naturally a smiley person. Like, I put a lot of work in out here, but I still enjoy smiling. That's just me naturally. That's just always been my spirit. I could hee ha ha laugh and joke, and then I could spark you in the face right away, or I can get up and leave. But I'm just thinking of like a lot of my situations when I was younger and little. When you get older, it's more consequences from the opposition for doing certain things. And I knew not to take it personal. They've already decided that they are going to use this demonic playbook. It didn't matter if they knew from being around me, because a lot of people, when they come around my space now, or, I'm communicating, engaged with, I love my space, I don't even let them know what I do. A lot of people like to ask that question, like, what do you do? I'm just saying for everybody, not just me. I'm saying that's like one of those questions people like, what do you do? I work and I live. What do you do? Like, what are you gonna utilize that information for? That's why I don't really feel a need to always ask people, what do they do? Because I don't give a fuck what you're doing. To be honest, like, once I see your actions or your motions, or I see the costume that you choose to put on, or the attires you choose to put on to represent yourself out here in this physical realm, we already know what time it is. You already know. So it shouldn't be, oh, like I got thrown off or de-scrambled and like just confused in a chaotic space when someone starts being witchy. Now, the things we have to do is, you have to just be ready to make sure you got your energy and motion on the inside. make sure you have this at a more peaceful, flowing state evenly. You don't want to be in here like this, giving them exactly what they want, because you probably have other stuff you got to do throughout the day or throughout the night or throughout the week. And this will deter you from your path in the space. It'll interrupt your peace. You know, it just does a whole lot to throw everything off balance even more, because the system already got us off balance with how this weird ass system set up now. You know, like, we in December and people keep talking about, oh, the new year. I'm like, motherfucker, the new year don't start till spring is back here. When the sun is fully back up and trees and flowers are starting to blossom, that's when the new year starts. That's what makes sense to me in nature's eyes. Not in the middle of winter season. If we didn't have the system giving us this information, we would automatically assume, or we would recalculate ourselves, because now we gotta go through test and trial area, that, okay, the new season starts when the trees and everything starts to blossom and bloom again. That's no different than them saying 12 o'clock a.m. is when the new day starts. It's fucking weird. Why would the new day start in the middle of the night? That makes no fucking sense. The new day starts when the sun is up. Even when I was young, my daughter's age, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I used to say this all the time. I was one of those little people that could stay up a full 24 hours. So it's like, we already got the system with all these things in place, throwing us off of balance. So then if you got people that's close to you getting in your space and their whole goal and objective is to knock you down, destroy you, get you to self-sabotage, then it's not going to be hard if you're not working on your connection with Source, if you're not doing your daily practices and rituals, you know, to keep you healthy, to make sure that you are healing and connecting certain links back together. It's going to work its toll on you, especially if you continuously opening doors to people and you're running into the same thing. Every time you open a door and you let one in, each one is leaving a dent or a mark. So if the first one comes in and just leaves a little mark on your wall, you know, it's making a sweet spot, it's soft. So the next one comes in, they find the same wall, they touch the same spot. Now that spot is gonna be a little bit softer. So eventually the third, fourth, or fifth person that comes in your space and they tap that wall, one of them is going to make a hole in your wall. So you shouldn't be feeling like, oh, well, I done offended them, or it doesn't fucking matter. These people not moving around on God time anyways. That's why they operate the way they operate. It's one thing to be communicating, engaging, and bumping into people, and y'all both got ill intentions, selfish intentions, and y'all, you know, both y'all ain't even y'all gotta be using a demonic playbook, because if you're using a godly playbook, you wouldn't even process that same way, you know. But it's always gonna be a warp, a ball of chaos and destruction in the path. This is just what they do. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, all of them that's not operating with Source. They see that you're not running around doing things with ill intentions and hurting people. They see that you've been trying to better your life, position yourself differently so that way you can help and heal and, you know, provide resources to other people that needs the help, and they still go against it. You have to understand, these people are demonic. There's no other reason for it. That's like you having to feed a baby and they just keep coming by every time you, we're in Western culture, right? So just for the example purposes, we'll say that you got the bottle over off to the side. Natural way is breastfeeding. We already understand this, but Western culture is similar. It is what it is right now. And they keep taking the bottle or moving the bottle. That's ill intentions, because now it's preventing you from feeding the new life that just got here. It doesn't matter if it's an adult. If you are operating on God time and people are still going against it, they showing you that you are going to have to protect yourself. It's that simple, you know? And I had to get to a space to where I just had to start telling people, when I'm battling, or if I feel there's getting ready to be a battle, and I already know they on the witchy side, I just tell them they got it. You got it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It doesn't make a difference to me to keep going back with them verbally. One, because I'm a male and I love using physical force. I was born into this body. It's just one of the abilities that come with it. I'm not afraid to use it. And when you understand physical force, it allows you to communicate on a much different level. Because you also, before you get to the physical part, you are projecting a vibration that's showing people that you are not gonna be no pushover. Even if you get your ass whooped or you lose the verbal battle, whatever it is, you show that you are not going to be no pushover. You're not just gonna step on me. You're not just gonna step over top of me. We're gonna walk beside each other, or you're gonna walk in front of me and I'm gonna walk behind you, but it's not gonna be this leapfrog situation where you jump over me, I jump over you, you jump over me, I jump over you. We're not doing that anymore. If they not moving with the creator, their goal is chaos and destruction. So you have to be ready for all of these tactics. I don't care what part of the spectrum they on. You know what I mean? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Y'all just be mindful of these things. Tapping everything down below in the description. Peace and love to the kings and queens.